Hello folks, this is Sula once again. Welcome to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This game we're going to be looking at a reroll composition that's based on not one but two different champions. It wasn't intended that way, but it kind of worked out that way. Where the featured champ is going to be Yasuo, but we're also going to be playing through Nasus as well. And we'll see why that is and why these units do have some synergy. I wouldn't say a ton of synergy, but as it turned out this game, they would play together pretty effectively. And so this is going to be a Bash Brothers game, Yasuo and Nasus, not the classic Bash Brothers of Yi, Master Yi and Yasuo, but that was the case in earlier sets, but no longer here in set 4.5. Now, off of the initial carousel, there was a big scramble for a recurve bow. I did not end up getting that. I did end up getting the Nasus instead, so I start out with a Nasus with the tier. Like I said, that wasn't really what I was intended to go for, but that was what I ended up getting, and I get a BF sword to drop here from the initial minion round. All right, so we're going to continue on to the next minion round, and look what I get. There's double Nasuses here. I've been wondering, how do you say that? Is it Nasuses? Is it Nasi? I think it's Nasuses. But so I just get the 2-star Nasus right away. And so that initial champion that I took off the first carousel really has ended up influencing my game quite a bit. I don't know if I would have grabbed the 2 Nasuses otherwise, but that's what I've got. So we will look to run this. If I get gold here, I can pick up some of the other champions. But if I don't, 2-star Nasus to frontline for me is not the worst thing. He's going to get off his Wither, and yes, the 2-star Nasus can easily kill all the minions. Then as far as what I get for my items, I get a Brawler's Glove there. So I've got a BF Sword and a Brawler's Glove. Well, that makes Infinity Edge, and here I get a Yasuo Chosen. So I was like, okay, think I've got to play this. Now, the video title would have already told you that I was playing Yasuo this game, but I was like, okay, it's a duelist Yasuo, and I've got items for Infinity Edge. That means I should play Yasuo. I've got a great item to go with this champion. But there's just one problem. I don't have any money. I can't afford the Yasuo right now, so I'm guaranteed to get money to drop here. I'm guaranteed to get, I believe, at least 4 gold here off of this minion round, but I have to be very fast because it could be any of these minions that drops the money. As it turns out, it's going to be the very last one. So I have to grab this, sell the units that come off, and grab the Yasuo, and I have, fortunately, just barely enough time to make that happen. So I was a little worried I wouldn't have time to get that done, but fortunately, the Nasus kills the creeps pretty quickly. And now I'm able to play a board that's pretty decent here. We'll put the Infinity Edge on the Yasuo. There we go. But I've got something that's pretty decent here. I've got the Duelist in from Yasuo. He, of course, is always going to roll as a Duelist Chosen because you can't get Exile as a chosen trait. So we've got 2 Duelists from him. We've got Jax for the other Duelist. And then Nasus is going to provide Divine. And so that's going to provide the Divine trait for him and also for the Jax. So this is not bad. I also did a quick check. I just looked through all of the other players to see if anyone was running a Yasuo reroll comp, and fortunately no one else is, so that's really nice. I could be in a lot of trouble if a bunch of people are contesting this, but I felt like I really had no choice but to play it based on getting the early Yasuo chosen and having the Infinity Edge, which is one of his absolute core items. So we're going to be able to win that round, and we're off to a good start. I didn't have a chance to say this earlier in the game, so I'll mention it right now. This is taken from a ranked game. This is one of my placement games in set 4.5. I think it was my 4th placement game. And I had a very, very long wait before this game started in the queue. Like a very long time before the queue ended up popping. And it ended up giving me players who I think were rated a little bit lower than the ones that I typically had seen. My previous placement match that I played right before this was players who were mostly in Platinum. And then this game, again, most of the players were unrated because they're also in their placement matches. But the players who did have ratings, I think there were 2 people in Silver 1 or something like that. So it graded out a little bit lower than some of my other placement matches. And I think that was reflected over the course of this game in that a number of the players just didn't do a great job of building strong team composition. So as I said, this is a ranked game, but it's a placement game. And it's a little weird in terms of who you can hit sometimes in these placement matches. Alrighty, so the idea of this comp, I did pick up some units on the bench. I picked up a Fiora, and I picked up a Janna. Janna would give me Enlightened, and the Vlad could give me Siphoner, but ultimately I'm like, I want to get over 10 gold. The next unit in will be the Fiora. I have to play 4 Duelists. I figured I'll have time to find more Vlads if I want Vlads, have time to find Janna if I want to play Janna, but since I'm going to be playing Nasus, The next unit in has to be a duelist, but then the 5th unit in is probably going to be a siphoner, just because I like the notion of having that siphoner. If I'm going to play Nasus, I might as well make use of his other trait, and he can just frontline for me and then provide a way to grant healing to the rest of the team composition. So this is our board for the moment: 4 duelists together with 2 divine. Duelist is the key trait for this team composition, 25% extra attack speed per stack. You can stack up to 8 times, so that can give you up to, 200% extra attack speed. Really nice. And I see there's another Nasus there, so I was like, all right, well, I mean, it doesn't cost me anything to pick up this Nasus. Maybe we'll just go towards Nasus 3-star for the moment. I mean, we might as well. Here we're up against another person who's running Nasus. The good news is this person has not used their items. They have 2 items still sitting there, and this is as opposed to me, who's used all of my items. And so we're able to win that pretty easily, and we're able to carry a win streak into the second carousel of the game, the stage 2 carousel. So I'm very happy with how the game has started thus far. The only minor downside is I have not yet found another Yasuo. I'm going to need to find 9 Yasuos, and I have not found more than just the Chosen. So that's a little bit unlucky, but I'm in great economic shape, so hopefully I'll be able to roll towards the 3-star Yasuo, and then we cross our fingers and see what we're able to get. Here on this carousel, as far as items I'd want, well, the next priority I really want for Yasuo is I want to be able to make a Quicksilver Sash. It's his other key item, along with Infinity Edge, and then you can kind of fill out a bunch of different things. If I can take one of these items, I would take the Brawler's Glove, because it's harder to find Brawler's Gloves. They are more contested on carousels. That ends up getting taken, but I can take the other component for the Quicksilver Sash, the Cloak, and then I just need to find a Brawler's Glove. So I should have pretty good odds to be able to make a Quicksilver on Yasuo over the course of the rest of the game. I think that that's probably pretty safe assumption there. And then looking at what we have here. Oh, it's 2 more Nasuses. Okay, so we've got 6 thus far. That seems pretty workable. So I will go ahead and hold them, and I'll pick up another Fiora to try to get towards Fiora 2-star, and I'll pick up the Vlad, because I've decided that I think that Vlad is the next unit in. Like, I could try to play the classic next unit in after you get 4 duelists is to play an Enlightened unit, which grants additional mana to Enlightened units. So Janna is often a very popular person to put in. But I've only seen 1 Janna thus far, and I ended up selling the Janna, whereas I've been seeing a good number of Vlads. So I'll look to play one or the other, but I actually do think that Vlad's a good unit to play here, because he'll get Siphoner in, provide a little bit of healing for the rest of the team comp. Now this fight's a little unfortunate. Jax actually runs over into the corner, and as a result, he does not get off a very good ultimate and doesn't manage to stun much of the team. So this round's going to be really close. Can Jax get off that stun? And he is, but come up 1 auto attack short. I'm trying to highlight how much health is on this Jarvan. 69 HP. So a little bit unlucky there. I think the pathfinding was a little bit off. As I said, Jax kind of ran into the corner for no clear reason, and so his ult didn't stun the enemy team. But that was a kind of a sad loss, because I would have carried a win streak through, and having a loss right there interrupts the win streak and keeps me from, racking up the big economic advantage I get from winning through the entire stage on stage 2. At least if I can win this round, I can carry 30 gold into the next minion round. So I'm hoping I can win this one. It's a little tricky to win rounds right now, though, because I have not been leveling. I've just been saving up gold to try to get up to 50 gold faster, whereas a lot of the other comps are up to level 5. It makes sense. Normally, I would be pushing to level 5 here as well, but since this is a reroll comp and I'm going to be rerolling for Yasuo, I do not want to get to a higher level. I want to stay at a lower level where I have a better odds to find Yasuo as a 1-cost unit. The good news is that Yasuo gets off a crit on one of his ults right there, and we slash right through this comp. And so we get up to 30 gold. But think how much better economic shape I'd be if I had won that round. I would be on a 5-match win streak. I'd carry that win streak through into the minion round. It would be worth much more gold, especially with the way that the interest mechanic works. Getting more gold early means you get more gold late. So a little bit unfortunate, since I lost that 1 round with Jarvan on 1 HP. But it is what it is. I can't really complain too much. I'm off to a good start here. And I'm sitting at 98 HP with wins in 4 out of 5 rounds, and a Chosen that I'm happy with, and items that I'm happy with as well. So here's the minion round. I am crossing my fingers. What I really want here is to get a Brawler's Glove. That would be my top item to pop up off the carousel. And then we can look to fill out something in Yasuo's last slot after that. There's a number of different items you can put there. Basically, anything that gives attack damage is going to be pretty good there. Hand of Justice is pretty good. Deathblade would be good. I could put Bloodthirster, and that would be good. Basically anything that's AD based. He doesn't need attack speed because he's going to get attack speed from the Duelist trait, but anything that's AD focused is going to be good. All right, well here we get some interesting stuff. We end up getting a BF sword and a chain vest, but we also get a spatula, and that's pretty interesting there. So I've got a couple different choices here. I've got that spatula that I can hold on to. I think and by the way, there is a Yasuo that we can hold on to. I think in retrospect, if I were to do this again, I would have just made a Guardian Angel on Yasuo and then try to save the last item for um, and then save the last item slot for a Quicksilver. But instead, I went ahead and made the Frozen Heart on Nasus. I wanted to take advantage of that tier and make a tanky item. I don't think that that was ideal. I think it would have been better to itemize the Yasuo first, figure out something to do with that tier on Nasus later on. Frozen Heart is certainly not bad. It's a good frontline tank item, but I think putting GA on Yasuo would have been the better way to make use of this. And then I'd have a chance to try to do something with the spatula later. In particular, getting a duelist spatula from a recurve bow would be really good for this team composition to get an extra duelist unit in, make somebody a duelist, and then maybe like Kale later on, because I've got the Divine trait in with Nasus. Like if I could turn Kale into a duelist later on, that would be amazing. So that Frozen Heart does do some good work, but it's not quite enough, and we are going to end up losing this round. So a bit questionable use of the itemization there. And as I said, sometimes when you go back and watch these games, you see things that you maybe would have liked to have done differently. All right, well, I am level 5 right now. I have not spotted any Jannas, so rather than play Enlightened trait, I will play through the Siphoner trait instead. And now I'll look to reroll here because I'm at 50 gold, and now I need to reroll. The sad thing is I have not found much in the way of Yasuo's yet, so I need to cross my fingers and hope that I have good luck in finding Yasuo here. I will be sitting at 50 gold and rerolling for the next couple of rounds. Now, since I already have 7 Nasuses, I can look to reroll and try to find Nasus 3-star as well. I mean, I might as well try to find 3-star Nasus. He seems like he's pretty helpful in this comp. He's allowed me to put Siphoner trait in. I'll just go ahead and read the description for Siphoner trait since it is a new trait here in set 4.5. Siphoner, all allies heal for some of the damage they deal with spells and attacks. At Siphoner 2, which is what I have in here, Siphoners heal for 40% of the damage they deal, and 10% of the damage they deal goes to heal allies. And it goes up to 100% and 100% and 25% at Siphoner 4, but this game is not going to get to Siphoner 4. I can just mention that already. This particular round is taking forever. This is someone who is like trying to roll for a Rakan 3-star, apparently unaware that Rakan got nerfed super duper hard in the B patch for the set, what is it? Teamfight Tactics patch 11.2 B is what this is officially on. But yeah, Rakan was very overpowered in the initial version of set 4.5, and then he got nerfed really badly. All right, so there I did have a chance to play Janna. I passed it up. I'm liking the Siphoner. I like I've got this Nasus. I might as well make use of him. And then I find a Callista, so I take out the Fiora to play the Callista for the time being. Callista is useful because she is one champion that is not melee. One of the issues with running a bunch of duelists is they're all melee for the most part, and they can kind of get clumped up on one another. She actually is a unit that can hit people from the back line. So she's going to get blinded by Teemo there, which is bad. And in fact, Teemo Blind is really effective against duelist team comps. It's like right here, I miss a whole bunch of auto attacks against Teemo because of the blind, and then the poison kills the rest of my team. So like I said, the Teemo is not a great matchup for my setup. But I've been finding some good stuff. One of the nice things about rerolling here on level 5 is, while it does delay my access to higher levels, it does also give me better odds to 2-star a lot of my board. Like finding 2-star Jax would make me a lot stronger. Finding the 2-star Vlad would make me a lot stronger. Finding the Jax, finding the Nasus 3-star would also help me a lot. Now there's another another spatula on this carousel, but it gets snapped up immediately. I am hoping that Brawler's Glove on Akali will stick around, because that would be awfully nice to pick up. The recurve bow would also be great. I could make a duelist spat, but that goes away. So now I'm just crossing my fingers. I'm hoping this person who's in the middle is not going to take that Brawler's Glove, because I really want a QSS, and I'm going to get it. So I am quite happy with this. Very happy to be able to make the Quicksilver Sash. And so I just have to combine that on another unit, and there we go. So I know what I'm doing with those items. Now the question is, what do I do with the spatula? I'm trying to think, what should I do with this? Do I want to use it? Because I do have a sword sitting there on Yasuo. I could make Yasuo into a divine unit. And I was like, okay, well, let's try that. We'll make Yasuo into a divine unit. This will be useful for him. He'll be able to get another way of cleansing crowd control, and he'll have a way of doing true damage. Now, again, I don't know if this was ideal. I think it would have been better, as I said, to make the Guardian Angel and then maybe hold the spatula for a potential use on a duelist spat with a recurve bow. I think that might have been better, looking to play into Kale as the other carry in this comp, because if you watch the last video I put on my channel, you should know duelist Kale is like super duper good. With a duelist Kale in a Yasuo reroll comp would just be stupid. I mean, that said, this is still pretty good, and it's not like putting the divine, not like having a divine version of Yasuo is bad or anything. It's actually quite good. But I think I could have been more optimal in using these items, while also combining them, and not just like holding with 6 items on the bench, but like could have made items immediately that also would have been better. Holding onto a spatula wouldn't really be that bad. So, like I said, I think better to. I'm not going to keep harping on this topic, but I think Guardian Angel and Yasuo with the Quicksilver and the Infinity Edge would be the way to go. So again, I'm just still re-rolling, and I was like, oh my god, I hit the 3-star Yasuo that easily, so I am super lucky here. I go from having three Yasuos at the start of Stage 3 to 9 of them by the end of Stage 3. And that was very lucky. You can sometimes just have to sit here and re-roll for ages, but this worked out perfectly. I find yeah, and I'm actually going to get pings from one of the other players who's like, uh-oh, this is bad news for the rest of the field, because hitting the 3-star Yasuo this early in the game with 4 Duelists and with the Divine trait is just going to be terrible news for the rest of the field, because this is going to be very strong, and I should be able to win streak through the mid game. This will fall off in the late game until I can find Yone and get XL2 trait in play. But for here, in the mid game, this is going to be very, very, very strong, and I shouldn't have much trouble win streaking for the next few rounds. So that's great. Now I'll be able to push levels. I don't have to waste gold re-rolling. I can just push levels and look to get up to higher tiers where I can hopefully find Yone and get XL2 in play, but also find access to some of the other late game units. For example, I wouldn't mind replacing the Vlad with a Morgana. That would be nice. It would synergize well with the Fiora. I would like to get up to 6 Duelists, but that does require finding either Tryndamere or finding a Lee Sin. I have better odds to find Tryndamere. I really want to get up to 6 Duelists. That will make this comp much stronger if I can go from 5 Duelists to 6 Duelists, or alternately get up to 4 Divine. That would also be quite nice too. I just need to find one other Divine unit, and I can get up to 4 Divine. Now, since I've been talking about Divine, and since I made Yasuo into a Divine unit, a trait he doesn't normally have, I should read the description for Divine. It is unchanged from set 4, but there are folks who are getting into Teamfight Tactics here in set 4.5 for the first time. So, Divine trait, upon attacking 6 times or dropping below 50% health, so you can trigger it 2 ways, 6 auto attacks or drop below 50% health. Divine champions remove all crowd control and ascend, taking 45% reduced damage and dealing 45% bonus true damage for the duration. Here at Divine 2, it is only 3 seconds, and then as you put more Divine units in, the duration goes up. It goes up from 3 seconds to 6 seconds at 4 Divine, and then up to 9 seconds at 6 Divine. So again, the way you activate it is either auto attack 6 times or drop below 50% health. And when that happens, they remove all crowd control. So Yasuo's got 2 ways to remove crowd control. They take reduced damage, and then they deal bonus true damage for the duration. Okay, so other items here. You saw that I had a chance to make yet another Quicksilver Sash. And again, if I were looking to play into Kale here, this would be amazing. I could have potentially a Duelist Spatula Kale and a Quicksilver Sash for that Kale in a comp that's already playing both Duelist and Divine. So that would be amazing. But since, for whatever reason, I decided to commit the items, I go ahead and make a Zephyr. I think in retrospect, I probably should have held off on doing that. I think it would have been better to make a Quicksilver Sash and hold it for a potential Kale. I could put the Quicksilver Sash on someone who's going to come out of the team comp. By the way, the video freezes here. It was a hiccup in the recording. So yeah, I ended up making the Zephyr. Now, Zephyr is not a terrible item by any means. It's going to be great in late game scenarios, but I think it's still a little bit early in the game to be doing that. And I think it would have been better to make a Quicksilver and put it on someone who's going to come out of the team comp. Probably maybe Vlad, because he's not going to stay in the comp. Like I could always sell him and replace him with like another Siphoner later on. Here I go ahead and level to 7 because I'm on a win streak. I'd like to preserve that. I don't have another unit to put in, so I just toss in another Nasus. I mean, that's not good at this stage of the game. Again, I really want another Duelist or another Divine unit, but I don't want to reroll here. I want to continue leveling, and the best unit I can look to put in is that Nasus, so I'll just toss him in there. I also have the ability, since I have 2 Cultists in, I could always toss in another Cultist just to get the Cultist crowd control. I wouldn't be playing Galio for damage. I'd be playing him for just for the crowd control when he parachutes in. So there's definitely room for improvement here, but I don't want to reroll because I'm already winning rounds right now. And by the way, there is 8 Nasuses, so that's looking good. I also had the chance to pick up more Jaxes, but in lieu of going for Jax 3-star, I didn't want to roll for another 3-star. I figured I'm just going to push levels here. So yeah, we've got the double Nasuses in, and I only need one more for Nasus 3-star. So hoping that maybe I can find another Nasus here. Would be really happy to get that. And then I'd have double 3-star units anchoring my front line between the Yasuo and the Nasus. But as expected, since I hit the 3-star Yasuo, I have been win streaking through the mid game. That's what you'd expect because, as I said, this comp spikes really hard in the mid game when you get the Yasuo 3-star. So all he needs to do is just get those attacks off. Attack speed's really slow here, but there he is. He's in the backlines. He's killing everybody. And once I get into the squishy backlines of this Elderwood comp, it's not going to be much trouble. So not only am I winning these rounds, I'm dealing a lot of damage to these other players. If you notice, I've been doing like 12, 13, 14 damage a round. That knocks people out of the game pretty quickly, which is one of the big goals here in Teamfight Tactics. There is a limited fixed pool of health, and the game ends when everybody but one player loses all their health. So if you can do a lot of damage to other players, it really does make a big difference. In any case, though, now I've got a chance to pick up, they've got another carousel here. I've got to look for what other items. I think that in retrospect, the item that I should have picked up here was the tier out of what was available. I think the tier would make a, what is it, a Hand of Justice for somebody because I've got that leftover Brawler's Glove. But instead, I go ahead and grab the other Brawler's Glove on Cho. Now, in part, this is because Cho is a 4-cost unit. But this gives me another Brawler's Glove, and that gives me the chance to make Thief's Glove, which is not bad, but I do think it's kind of a mistake. I think I'd do better here to look to make a. Hand of Justice, as I could put that on someone. Like I said, I'm hoping to play into Kale, and here we've actually got loaded dice. I'm going to hold on to the loaded dice for right now, but like I could have and here I actually I could make the Hand of Justice anyway. I could have put the tier plus the. Well, first I go ahead and use my Nico on the 3-star. I use it on a 3-star version of the Nasus. I figured, hey, I've got the Nico's help. I've already got the 3-star Yasuo. Might as well make the 3-star Nasus. But here, I think my itemization is rather poor again. I end up making the Thief's Glove and then making the Redemption. And I think that was the wrong choice. I think I should have done the opposite. I should have done the Hand of Justice plus, and then maybe the Trap Claw on the other one. Trap Claw's not a great item, but like I could look to put that on somebody who's a carry, and I think that would be better. I also do lose a round here for the first time in a while. That comp had a Morgana that just got off a nice ult. And there are a number of places where I really would like to upgrade my board here. I really don't like having the 1-cost, 1-star Elise in here. She's not really doing much of anything. But I do want to make use of these items. So as I said, I make the Thief's Glove. I do think that's a mistake. I think that I would have been better off making the opposite items there. At least making a Hand of Justice, which would have been handy on someone. Could go on like a future Yone or something. So I make the alternate items, the Redemption plus the Thief's Glove. Again, not terrible. These aren't like horrible items or anything like that, but I think I could have done better. All right, and now we've got another team comp here. The Zephyr does knock out one of the lead units at the start of each fight. And Yasuo is doing good damage. He is actually going to get popped here, but we've still got the 3-star Nasus to help carry the damage load. And that is ultimately going to be enough here. We're able to get in the back lines. We're able to kill the Teemo. And although this fight's close, we have enough there. The 3-star Nasus is the only one left standing at the end of the fight. So yeah, Nasus pretty strong here at the tail end of the fight. All right, and I am going to get the 2-star Callista. That's nice, but look what I haven't found. I haven't found another unit for Duelist 6. I haven't found another unit for Divine 4. And I've been watching. I haven't found a single Divine or a single Duelist all through Stage 4. Or at least ones I didn't have. No Tryndamere, no Lee Sin. Lee Sin would be perfect. He'd make Duelist and Divine. Duelist 6, Divine 4. So I'm hoping that I can find some of them soon. As for the Nasus, he is in a state where his withers are going to do a lot of damage. That's his ultimate. He withers someone on the enemy team, deals magic damage, reduces their attack speed. And he actually does quite a bit. The wither does 850 damage now that he's a 3-cost unit. So the wither hits pretty hard. Now here, I'm going to look to roll. Again, I pass up the opportunity to reroll for Jaxes. I do find a Talon. I think that he's a little bit better, but then I find better stuff. By the way, still more Jaxes. It's a bit of a shame I didn't pick them up. I'm going to put in the Swain to get another Siphoner, and now I finally find a Kale. I was like, okay, well, Kale will give me 4 Divine. That's much better. That doubles the duration of the Divine effect from 3 seconds up to 6 seconds. And I miss a Kale there. Ooh, that's bad. That's me not paying close enough attention. I needed to grab that kale, so that's unfortunate. And you might have noticed I got another spatula here, but I can't really use this spatula. It's a little bit of a shame I wasn't holding the spatula from earlier in the game. Now, it would be a little silly to hold a spatula for all that time without using it, but in theory, I could have held onto it and gotten a force of nature there. So, as I said, I don't think that making the divine spatula was terrible, but I think I could have had better options there. So I'm still looking to make a little bit more. I'd really like to get up to 6 duelist for the extra attack speed. I'd also really like to be able to find the what's the other thing I'm looking for? Also looking to get up to Yone so I can get XL2 in. That's the other thing I was looking for. So here I'm rolling. I do spot this Kale. Don't miss that one. I'm also finding these Zillions, which is kind of nice. And then I get 2-star Kale anyway. So I was like, all right, well, I'll play that over Aurelia. I don't get the Enlighten trade, but Enlighten's not that valuable right now because it's just providing more mana to Fiora. So like that's like whatever. Fiora doesn't really need more mana. She's mostly just in here for her duelist trait. In fact, if anything, should probably be taking out the Fiora right now because all she does is provide duelist. Could probably remove her and upgrade with something better. Whether that's Aurelia for an extra divine or something. I don't know. But as it turns out, Fiora is still alive at the end of that fight, and so is Nasus, who is pretty unkillable for the most part. He's actually quite strong. And we, somewhat surprisingly, are already down to just 4 players this early in the game. It's kind of shocking that we're already down to just 4. And there I find Lee Sin. I was like, excellent. Now I've got the Lee Sin in. So we'll put him in, and that gets us up to 6 duelists. And I'm also at 5 divine. So I could take someone else out, but I'd have to remove Siphoner, and I don't want to do that. Like, I could get up to 6 duelists, 6 divine, but that would require taking out Swain for Siphoner. So I'd rather keep the Siphoner in for that. But this board feels pretty good, and now I'm fairly confident that I can look to Econ and look to probably go up to level 9, depending on what we find on the next carousel. So as we said, last couple players here. We'll have a contest to see who can make it up to who's going to be the winning players. But again, the only thing I still really need to find as Lee Sin kicks somebody off the field. The only thing I still really need to find is the Yone so that I can get XL2 in. That'll provide lifesteal for the Yasuo, which is the one thing he's missing in this build because I know that he can get lifesteal from having Yone in and getting XL2. All right, here on this carousel, there's no Yone available, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that Swain, and Swain will give me a Swain with a Quicksilver, and oh, I've got that Nico sitting on my bench, so I can just 2-star the Swain. That feels pretty good. So even though Siphoner is not something that you typically would play in a duelist team comp, I mean, it's just kind of what I got in this match. So, you know, I've got the 3-star Nasus, and I've got an early 2-star Swain, so I might as well play this, even though normally you wouldn't necessarily put this into your comp. So I'm going to sell the Zillions just to raise more money. And then I'm going to look to use the loaded dice. I was like, you know what? Maybe I can find the Yasuo or the Yone here if I use it on Yasuo. I've got decent odds. I'll either get Duelist or I'll get him. And boom, I find him. The XL trait kicks in. So now I need to get Yone in, but I need to think about who I'm going to take out. So I was like, someone has to come out of this team comp. Not sure who it is. By the way, yet more Jax. I definitely could have had the Jax 3-star. So I'm going to have to take something out of this comp, unfortunately. And I'm not sure exactly what it is. So I'm trying to think what I end up taking out. And we're going to have not much trouble winning this round. Let's see. I was really struggling to figure out what to take out. I think that I ultimately end up taking out the Lee Sin, and I'm not sure that that's right here. I think that what should come out is one of the Divine units, honestly. We'll hold on to the... So, all right. Oh, never mind. That's right. I end up taking out Jax, and then I put in the... So what I do is I go down to 4 duelists here. And I sell the Jax so I can move that item over to the Yone, so I can put Thief's Glove on Yone. Again, I'm not sure that that's right. I think maybe the play should have been to stick with 6 duelists and take the Kale out temporarily. So I think that that wasn't ultimately the best decision there. I think I should have kept Jax in the comp, played 6 duelists, taken out Kale, run 6 duelists 4 divine as opposed to 5 divine 4 duelist. This comp really is much stronger when it has the 6 duelist in. The 6 duelist is significantly more attack speed. So I definitely did need to play Yone, but I think that I probably took out the wrong units on watching this on replay. Now, my comp is still very strong, don't get me wrong. And it's not exactly bad to get the Thief's Glove onto the Yone or anything like that, but I think dropping Jax in a comp where I'm playing Divine and Duelist, dropping Jax, who has both traits, was probably less than ideal. So a lot of things that I could work on and get better at. just in pure terms of the Duelist trait here, Duelist 4, which is what I'm running right now, is 25% attack speed per stack, but Duelist 6 is 40% attack speed per stack. So it's almost double the benefits. And all my key units are basically running Duelist in some form. So, like I said, you look back at these things and you think about what to do. But I think I could have just held the 2-star Kale on my bench, played 2-star Kale when I hit level 9, and look to play through that. So in any case, right now I'm just econing. I'm trying to get up to level 9 so I can play another unit. But like I could have had 6 Duelist and 4 Divine, and I think that would have been better. Anyway, so what do we have here? We still got that spatula. I can't really do anything with it. It's unfortunate that I just have this extra spatula sitting around not doing anything on the bench here. But I am win streaking. I'm feeling pretty good about this game right now. I have a lot of room to get stronger. I can try to 2-star the Lee Sin. I can try to 2-star the Yone. Either one of them will make my comp a lot stronger, plus I'll have the chance to play something at the next level. I've grabbed this Set to hold on my bench. Set's not really the legendary unit I want in this team comp. He doesn't really fit it. Set provides additional damage. I don't really need more damage. More crowd control would honestly be better. Like an Azir would be good just for crowd control because my comp is kind of lacking in crowd control. And as I said, I have plenty of damage. That's not really the issue. Here, Swain's the only one left alive, but fortunately Swain's on it. He is pretty difficult to kill with his Siphoner trait. I was able to slap that additional item onto him. The Ionic Spark. Useful item on him. Ionic Spark, Quicksilver. If I could get one more Negatron Cloak and put a Dragon's Claw on him, he would be pretty unkillable while he's running his ultimate. So he's in good shape right here. He gives me another threat. So I've got a couple legitimate threats in this comp. Obviously, Yasuo is the big one, but Yone's a decent threat. The Swain now is very difficult to kill. I've got Kale and Callista, who are not itemized, but can still do pretty decent damage. And here's another thing that's important in the late game. Positioning. When you only have a handful of rounds, positioning gets very important. There was only one of these 4 comps I was worried about. It's someone who has a 3-star Diana and a 3-star Akali. So I started positioning to try and work around the 3-star Akali. That was the unit I was concerned about. So that's why I moved Nasus to that spot in the backline. He's got the Zephyr, and I want to try to target that unit there. So I'm getting close to being able to hit 9. Can maybe look to go 9 after this minion round. But like if you're looking at who I'm up against, now we're down to just 3 players, but one of them I'm not worried about. I think it's Mr. Symmetry. That's the one I just hit who's running a Zed comp but is not 3-starred Zed. I'm not worried about that one. I'm worried about this one, Daddy Jeffrey. So I'm trying to position in such a way, like this person's running 6 Assassins and 4 Spirit with the Diana Chosen. That's pretty scary. So I'm looking to try and put my units in a position where I can most take advantage of that. So I'm going to position Nasus with the Zephyr, and there goes Akali. So that's pretty good. Unfortunately, Kale gets jumped on instantly and popped. And then afterwards, the Nasus gets dunked by the Set Assassin on the enemy team. And right now, Yasuo is dueling with the Diana, but I end up losing that duel. So we actually lose to that comp. And I was like, uh-oh. I actually got off a really good Zephyr, and I still lost. That's trouble. I've got to think a little bit more about where I want to position to take advantage of this. All right, so we've got another round here. I see that there is a Yone with a BF sword. I was like, oh, that's good. But then I was like, no. What's better is taking the Shroud of Stillness, because Shroud is an amazing late game item. Be really good against these team comps. I'll be able to shroud out the like a big clump of units on the enemy teams, and then be able to take advantage of that. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and grab here. Going to go ahead and grab that Shroud. Now I'll go to 9. There's not much time in this game. And I hit 2-star Set, so was not planning on playing 2-star Set, but I just hit the units. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm going to play that if I hit it. It's a 2-star 5-cost unit. That's going to be good. And then I hit the 2-star Lee Sin as well. So I was like, all right, I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to look to, once again, position to try... I'm going to try to position for the team I'm actually concerned about, which is the one I just lost to. So I'm going to look to try and grab that unit. I actually get matched up against the other team comp, the one I'm not as worried about. So we get the Zed on that team comp. Now there is a Samira we have to worry about as well. Samira with triple Zeeks. Unfortunately, I did not place the Shroud. What I was trying to do was I was trying to place the Shroud after I could see where the enemy units were. But fortunately, it doesn't matter. Lee Sin just kicks the Samira right off the field. Love it anytime that happens. And although Zed's in the corner where not as many units can target him, we've got this. Sets do it in push-up. Someone's going to kill this unit. So we're good. And as it turns out, Daddy Jeffrey, the comp I was worried about, gets eliminated in the mirror match there. So I was like, all right, well, that feels pretty good to me. So now I can just look to position against this comp that I just beat and beat rather easily in the last round. I'll just look to get a Zephyr on that Zed again, because the Zed is probably the scariest unit in that comp. And let's go ahead and put this Shroud down. Actually use the item I took off the carousel. I went to try to Zephyr as many units, Shroud as many units as possible. So right here, I'm going to look to position, and I'm going to try to hit the Zed there. And let's see, are we going to grab this unit? And as it turns out, yes, we are. And I'm also going to get off the Shroud on the Akali, who is the other unit that I was concerned about. So that looks pretty good. We've got the Lee Sin kicking units off the field. He's trying to get that the Samira off the field once again. And this feels like it's pretty easily under control. This person's team comp needs to get Zed 3-star to reach parity with me. Unfortunately, we knocked him down to 3 HP, so it wasn't quite decisive enough to get a win right here. But we're still looking pretty good. I think I've got my team comp at this point. Everything on the board is 2-starred except Yone. I don't think I can meaningfully upgrade from here. It's a bit of a shame that I don't have 6 duelists in play, which is probably better for this comp. But like, I'm not going to take out a 2-star set. I'm not going to take out a 2-star Swain. These units are really good. I think the itemization in this game could have used some work. As I said, I probably could have managed to get a duelist stat on Kale and then run 6 Divine plus 6 Duelist. I think that was very playable in this game as Lee Sin kicks out the Rift Herald there. And had like Kale with a Quicksilver as like another amazing carry. So like I'm rolling here, but there's really not a lot for me to roll for. I guess it's just the Yone 2-star. I really can't upgrade my board much because kind of got everything I need. We're on stage 7-1, so we're very late in the game. So once again, I'm just going to try to position the Shroud to hit as many people as possible. Try to position the Zephyr to keep hitting that Zed, who I think is the most threatening unit on the enemy team. It's that or the Samira, I guess. So we're going to Shroud that, and then I'm watching, and this person shifts away the Zed. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just shift the Nasus to match. Not going to get the Teemo. We are, in fact, going to get your Zed. And I get off an even better Shroud this time. I managed to hit the Yuumi as well as hitting the Akali. So this round should go even better than the last one. And in fact, that's what's going on. By the way, Nasus is just straight up 1v1ing the Akali back there. And yeah, this round's not really very close. So even though I made what I think are a lot of errors in terms of itemization, I still ended up with a strong comp overall. And easily strong enough to win this lobby, even with the unused spatula, even with some of the itemization mistakes. This lobby was probably not as strong as some of the other ones that I ended up playing in my placement matches. So happy to take the first place, happy to get the 150 LP, and that puts me in gold 2 with one more placement match still to go here in ranked. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this game, a chance to see the new Bash brothers, Nasus and Yasuo, out there in action. Until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you guys soon.